Hi, welcome to MediatorPodcast.com, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gregg, and I'm a valuation expert and mediator in St. Louis, Missouri. I actually specialize in divorce and partner disputes. But today we'll discuss divorce mediation and parenting plans or child custody with Michelle Weinberg. Michelle's a licensed marriage and family therapist with over 20 years of experience, but now focuses her practice specifically and solely on divorce mediation in New Jersey. In 2011, she co founded Westfield Mediation with an attorney, Randy Albert, and she's also a member of the New Jersey Association of Professional Mediators and volunteers at several organizations in her spare time. We are so grateful and happy to have you, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having
But
me.
tell us a little bit about you because mediators are very different. And I think that, especially in divorce, um, you really need to know what you're doing in there. And not everybody likes divorce. So tell us more about maybe a little bit more about your backstory and how you got into this because you were a therapist.
Yes.
And were you just seeing like people getting divorced and it was a hot mess or what?
So I've been a therapist. I always worked at nonprofits, and one
Mm.
of the nonprofits I worked at got involved in a new program for high conflict post-divorce couples. So these were the couples that were going to court because one parent wanted them to play hockey and the other parent wanted to play soccer, and the judge is like, "You
Why?
decide." Like why am I forced to decide this? So it was the same couples constantly going back to court. The judges were getting tired of seeing them. So they came up with this program, and I was in charge of that program. So I saw these high conflict post divorce couples. And then um, I heard about mediation, and I thought, oh my goodness, I can help people before they get to that point. They don't have to be the post divorce high conflict couples. I can help them before and come up with an agreement so they never reach that point. So it was just a really good fit for my personal philosophy of how I think the process should go. So Randy, my partner, said she was doing this Westfield mediation and we should join forces. She's a lawyer, I'm a therapist, and I said that's a great idea. So we created Westfield Mediation, and we focus solely on divorce mediation. It's all we do. We're one of the few people in New Jersey that solely focus on divorce mediation. A lot of people are attorneys who also do mediation, or therapists, or financial
Mhm.
advisors, or whatever you may be, who also do mediation, but we do only mediation. So we're pretty unique in that way. And we help couples reach agreement. Like I said, we cover it all, whatever you want in your divorce agreement.
That's awesome. I think that more people are starting to understand mediation process. I will say a lot of mediators are mental health professionals, as well as attorneys, as well as financial professionals. And I think if you bring together a good group of those people for your in your area, I think you have the makings of a decision process that you have more control over and maybe more control over the costs too. But they can definitely reach out to you specifically in New Jersey. I would assume that even around your area, if somebody reached out to you and you weren't the right fit, you would know other mediators that
Absolutely.
could, yeah, and refer them. I mean, I think mediators are really just trying to get more people to do this process this way. And so, we cross refer and, oh, get somebody in your area. Sometimes you want to sit down with them. You want to like have that person to person. A lot of it's being done online. Do you see more in person or online nowadays?
A little bit more in person than certainly before COVID, we were all in person. But and then in COVID, we were all online. And now people do want to come into the office, and we welcome them back if they so want to. But still, for the convenience of it, some people are still choosing to do online, and that's fine too. We offer both. And
Yeah.
I think some of the some of the benefits of mediation is that it creates more of this positive experience after you're done with it, so that you
Mhm.
can co-parent more effectively. It is really a big step in that direction, because we I always say we see people kind of at a low point in their lives. The year they get divorced, they're going to look back and say, "Oh, that wasn't such a great year in my life."
Right.
But we help them get to a better place, and that they can coexist. They can sort of see the light while they're going through this process, and they're different at the end of this process from when they started, for sure. And you also mentioned how economical it is. It is much more economical to use a mediator than two divorce attorneys. You are getting things done much faster, paying one professional to have this process rather than two separate ones communicating solely with each other, where the divorce attorneys are talking to each other, then go back to the client, and then the client talks to their own divorce attorney, who then talks to the other divorce attorney, and it sort of goes up and around. Whereas when the three of us are meeting, you're having direct conversations with the co-parent, and that helps you, again, after the mediation is done, you've already started those methods of communicating with your co-parent in a different way than you did as husband and wife. So,
well, and even I mean, even if you can't agree to everything in the divorce, the parenting plan, for sure, because that is specific to both of you. And so if you can advocate for yourself and you can be like, listen, I just want to say what's important to me, I think that that's a great way to use a mediator. And in some states, we're right next to Illinois. And in Illinois, and a lot of states are doing this, in order to talk to the judge, if there is a child custody issue, you have to go to 2 hours of mediation before you get to talk to the judge. And some people are just treating that as like, oh, that's 2 hours. I'll just go do my time and then go to the judge. But if you use that time wisely, you could use it just for the parenting, like just give the parenting plan a try, right? And then, oh, okay, maybe this mediator helped. Okay, maybe you can take it a little bit further. But it is you advocating for what you want for you and your children or you and your family dynamic when you come into mediation.
yeah. And I think through mediation, people realize how much they do agree on. Like usually, even in litigated cases, they're usually only they're only arguing about a few points, and they really agree about 90% of the issues can get resolved and communicated and agreed upon. So that happens in mediation all the time. And then once you realize, oh, well, we're working together and we're agreeing on this, because in mediation, we point out what you agree on. In litigation, they point out what you don't agree on. So the agreed upon points are a large majority of the process, and then it makes those few sticky points easier to manage because you've already realized how much you do agree on.
And you might be okay with like Johnny continuing hockey, but you also might want to say, if Johnny says, I don't want to play hockey, what is the process then to stop hockey, right? Like you can still have, hey, we will then, even if you talk about what you're going to do to solve it in the future, even if it's not like this is the solve, but it's like, we're going to talk about it. Johnny's going to have a say, like you've at least enunciate how the intention. And in some cases, like the parenting plan is all intention. We intend to do some of these things, but we know when we get there, it's going to take additional conversations kind of thing, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, this has been so helpful. Do you have any other suggestions for anybody if they're dealing with a parenting plan, or do you offer like an hour or a half an hour kind of introductory call if people have some questions?
Sure. People can always give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to anybody. There's my number, 908-913-0373. We're in New Jersey. And I'd be happy to, explain more in depth about how this whole process works and talk about, how you can move forward with mediation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I'm sure we'll have some more questions in the future talking about mediation and divorce, and maybe we'll have you back as a guest.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.